Hey folks, it's Jim. We're going to go over some pretty powerful numbers today. I think you're going to enjoy this. Stay with it. It will be a little bit long, but stay with it. First thing I wanted to say is remember the Survival Seed Vault we got for 20 bucks. It's on sale on Amazon for $12.99 right now. That's a savings of 30% or greater. Anytime we can do that, it's a no-brainer. I went ahead and bought 3 more. I no longer need to buy Survival Seed Vaults for the rest of my prepping life. Anyway, and I'm going to give some away for gifts also. It's something to think about for your future. But let's go on, or for other people's. Let's go on and look at everything. On our financial principles we came across, now let's go into shelter in depth and see what's available there. The first thing we need to do about shelter is evaluate water. Is there arsenic in the ground? Is it contaminated by fracking? Is it anything that will require us to be on reverse osmosis for the rest of our lives? That's a big determiner for me. I will not buy property with contaminated water. I will buy property with hard water, but not contaminated water. Now, that's just something to think about. Shelter, the main thing we need to think about when we're getting ready to buy a piece of land to build this shelter, which is what our plan is, we want to check the tax base of the township that we're going to. Is it severely in debt? Is it struggling to pay its bills? Is the mill rate constantly going up because they need to expand their tax base and all that stuff? And really look that through. Or are they financially frugal, think things through, and keep their debt down or to zero? I'll give you, for instance, in my township, there is no debt. They pay as they go, which is awesome. It keeps our taxes low, right? Okay, so anyway, that's just something to think about. Spend an hour or two with the tax assessor of the town you want to buy land in. Go over everything with them and discuss the type of shelter you're going to build and what a few simple changes in your design might drop your tax base pretty low. So you must master this skill. The proper application of knowledge to life is wisdom, folks, okay? So spend a couple of hours mastering the taxes of the shelter you're about to build so you're ready, and a few changes could save you hundreds a year or thousands, right? So anyway, let's take a look at it, applying that knowledge to life and making it wisdom. In my case, I pay $700 a year in taxes, okay? Whereas someone I know pays $1,200, okay? And it doesn't seem like much, you know what I mean? Or $2,000, I'm sorry. They pay $2,000. Let me rewrite that. They pay $2,000, but it's a savings of $1,300 a year. That my difference is. Okay, and that doesn't seem like much, a little over $100 a month. But over 30 years, folks, that is $39,000. Okay? Powerful, isn't it? Spending a little bit of time navigating your financial world and the tax codes and the tax bases can make a huge difference. And one town may have a severely different tax base than another. Okay, all this stuff is important, and in my case, $39,000 savings. And I didn't give up school systems either. The high school in my township is one of the best in the country. It's really highly rated in my state and one of the best in the country. So we didn't give anything up either. Okay, we gained. We live in a really good location, actually. Okay, and it's a very small town on top of all of that, with farms and stuff all over. It's really country. It's nice. So that's first, okay, and that's on our just on our taxes, gaining a little bit of knowledge about that, right? Proper application of knowledge to life is wisdom. Okay, so we should learn this. A lot of people run out and do things and don't think things through. They get emotionally involved. This is a business venture, okay, and this you're seeing how it's going to pay off for the rest of our lives. Okay, the next thing is building materials and the structure itself, okay? When we face our house south here in Maine, we can save up to 30% a year on heating costs. So facing a house south in Maine is pretty darned important. Also, the overhangs of the eaves is really important because that's going to give you shelter from the sun in the summer. So the distance of the overhang of the eaves, along with the direction of the home, all of this is going to make a big difference on heating costs overall, plus the materials you choose for insulation. There are things we don't skimp on in building. Insulation, roofing, and foundations. Never skimp on these things, folks, because you will be paying for the rest of your life. Anyway, let's look at it this way, okay? Say we only save annually $500 over somebody else, okay? That $500 over 30 years turns into $15,000. Can you see? So spending a couple $100 for a little better material on our original build is going to wind up paying us $15,000 over the life of the ownership for 30 years. Usually a home is a 30-year relationship, right? If you built in a good location, you like what you do and all that, okay? So you can see how just some simple gaining a little more knowledge is going to save even more, all right? That's a pretty good payoff right there, I think, huh? I think so anyway, and that's why I spend a couple hours a week expanding my knowledge of the economic paradigm I live under, okay? Anyway, and that's just, that's just two simple things that many people make catastrophic mistakes, and you see how big those mistakes are over the life of the home, right? Or for 30 years anyway. And this is small. I actually save $1,200 a month over a person that lives right close to me just because of the way my house faces and the materials used. Anyway, alternative energy. Let's go to that next because this is another one I wanted to cover in this video, and this pays very good dividends. And most of you who are building micro homes or mini homes, camps, or homesteads, you're going to be doing alternative energy anyway, right? So the alternative energy I studied was, I went with a grid-tied system because of where I live, and it was easy to do. But I went with a company called Enphase. Why? Because it had a 15-year warranty on the inverters. I don't know another inverter that has that, or at the time that was unheard of. Now a lot of companies are doing the same thing on microinverters. And I looked at the financials of the company because I know my economic environment, right? I know the economic paradigm I live under. I've been mastering it my whole life, right? So I knew, looking at this company, if they were going to have a 15-year warranty, I want to check the financials of the company to know that it's going to be around in 15 years. And what I saw was it was backed by a huge corporation called Siemens. It was the best product at the time in the world. Its margins were good and its sales were increasing. So I thought, okay, that's the product I'm going with. An electrician friend of mine, when we installed it, said, wow, this stuff kicks butt. And anyway, it all went on. So I invested in the company. The company went up, I sold it, and my little investment paid for the entire project, right? The $5,500. Then the markets tanked and this stock went down too, Enphase. So I saw it went below fair value severely. And I said, man, this is undervalued. That company's still doing good and it's got a great product. So I bought in again. It went back up. I got paid again. So sometimes the knowledge you gain around you in your environment, just in what you're trying to do, and doing some little homework, watching a little less reality TV, will pay off and pay off very handsomely. We're not going to add that into our numbers, but what we are going to add into the numbers is what this saves me every month. And it saves me $70 a month, right? So $70 a month times 12 months times 30 years is $25,200, okay? And we would think that all of this is pretty significant, don't we? But we're not done yet, folks. This is about to blow your mind. Okay, because we go out and we gather, an Aborigine child can fully survive in its environment independently by the age of 12. Most people never even find out how to navigate the economic paradigm that we live under, which is our environment. And that's a truly sad thing about Western culture, not mastering the basics of what's right around us. 2 hours a week of your life can help you master this and find freedom. Okay, the road to indentured servitude and thereby slavery is paved with ignorance. Okay, so let's move on. Now, if I take these savings, right, and I move from here to here and I invest it, right, because I master my economic paradigm environment that I live in, I study Keynesian, Austrian, and cyclical economics, and then I study macro economics, and I study a few other things. I don't have to go to school. I can study this stuff in a library for 50 cents, right? So, and I can study all this. Now you can get advice from those who go to school. That's good, and their knowledge and wisdom, and ask them questions so you can get a better understanding as well, right? Obviously, you would like to be involved with a professional as well, which I have a good relationship with my broker. In fact, most years I beat him. His education cost $250,000. Mine was free. Anyway, well, the purchase of some books. Anyway, let's look over some more, okay? What happens if I learn to invest properly at 5%? Okay, what happens? This turns in 30 years to $78,000. Add 10% because we're using a 5% multiplier, right? but it would be doubling plus 10% really. This turns to 30,000. This turns to $50,400. Okay? Can you see how massive this becomes by this and by simply starting our life right? Okay? Can you see the big difference? And what does this total out to? $158,400. That's what you saved over your peer group by starting your life right and thinking things through and doing a little bit of study and paying yourself first. Okay, and these were basic principles that were taught when I came up. Not a lot of people adhered to them, but I think it's the most important lessons we will ever learn. Why they're not taught in high school, I don't understand anymore, other than our society probably wants us to be ignorant so the rich can get richer and we stay slaves. Anyway, okay, so that's it. And that seems pretty powerful too, but what else have you done? You built debt free, didn't you? You didn't just save all this over your peer group. You built debt free. So now let's say we're saving another $500 a month, right? Which would be cheap rent for most people, right? So you're saving $500 a month, aren't you? Okay? And it's going to be pretty powerful because that's $6,000 a year, isn't it? $6,000 a year times 30 years is how much? That's right. $180,000. Can you see that? Okay? And that's not even multiplied by the 5%, because if we do that, that comes out to $360,000, right? Right? Plus our $158,000, which gives us what? 0, 0, 4, right? And then 8, right? And then what do we got here? 11, right? And then what do we got here? 5. So total savings, and the difference between you, by not watching a little bit of reality TV, thinking things through, planning, and living a simple life that is more healthy, more convenient, less stressful, and everything else. You just paid yourself $518,400 over a 30-year period. Now, that's a pretty significant amount, I would think, to most of you. Does that sound pretty interesting to you? Well, it's right here on the board I've shown you. Everything over here makes sense, doesn't it? And this really makes sense now once we understand this, 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 and this is your wildcard account. And I'm not going to teach you about that because everything excess over here, you can only fill up so much here for tax breaks. You can only fill up so much here for tax breaks. So you got to have this other one. And mastering the economic paradigm you live under is the most important thing you can do for yourself. Drop the reality TV, pick up a different economic book every month, and you will find yourself, this month, let's go for the rise and the fall of nations. Pick it up. You're going to be surprised as to what it has to deal with, but it will predict the future, and you can tell economic trends. By knowing and understanding economic trends, booms and busts, bubbles and cycles of expansion, you will know how to move your money about to beat the markets and thereby expand this even greater. And folks, you haven't done anything other than live right. That isn't even the fact that your income increased and this is even getting bigger, right? Okay, or if you chose at a certain point to have a child, then you're going to just stay on course with all this, this, and this. But the point is, can you see freedom? Okay, the road to indentured servitude and thereby slavery to the financial system is paved with ignorance. The road to freedom is paved with knowledge, and the proper application of knowledge to life situations is wisdom. Gather knowledge and make wisdom in that part of your life, the financial world, and that's why I put it here. Very important, okay? And, you know, anybody can do this. You don't have to be a genius or a rocket scientist. You just have to care about yourself. And you just have to think prudently. You know, it's not that complicated, folks. You know, and I hope this video has made sense to you. But remember, gather all the knowledge you can before you even start building. It's going to be very important, isn't it? Can you see the numbers? Jim out.